Next up is CHI Bleach and Shine that retails for $30.10 for 16 ounces. The claims are that this is a powerful lightener formulated with hemp and aloe that's going to give you 9+ levels of lift. Now, some key features and benefits is that it's going to help prevent breakage during the lightening process. It's high in fatty acids, proteins, vitamins, and other nutrients. It's formulated with hemp oil that keeps hair strong and nourished, and the aloe vera's conditioning properties keeps the hair and scalp moisturized. So now let's go ahead and open this up. So this is another one I have never used. So it has like a little baggie in there. I'm not mad about that. Got a little scooper, yay. You know how I feel about scoopers. And the little instructional package is right here on the side. It's actually a large one, which is kind of nice. So that way you don't have to like sit there and squint, you know? Let's see if I can organize this a little bit before we open this up. This is definitely sealed without any air in it, which is kind of nice because you don't want it to like poof in your face, you know? Oh. Oh, I can smell it. Smelling the fragrance. Smelling the fragrance. Let's go ahead and dump this out. So the way I like to do this, again, is just kind of like guide this right in here. Ta-da! So what I see here is a very blue lightener. It's super pigmented. I'm curious if this is going to be similar to the Kenra blue powder lightener and how pigmented it was, and if it's going to play a trick on your eye as you're lifting. Well, let's go ahead and do the dust factor test. It's pretty impressive. I'm not mad about it. I like it. I like it. There is a very little dust, like maybe 5% dust. So the way you mix this up is you're going to do either a 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio or a 1 to 2.5 mixing ratio. And you're going to use up to 20 volume on scalp and up to 40 volume off scalp. So the processing time on this one was a little interesting. You can process this up to 50 minutes room temperature, but if you are going to use heat, which it is an option, they highly recommend that you do not surpass that 15-minute mark. So for this test, we're going to be really fair and mix this up at a 1 to 2.5 mixing ratio. So this is another one that's kind of like a little clumpy together, but it's also really airy. And I think that's kind of why we didn't see too much dust actually from this one, which is kind of nice. I don't know, this one's like a tricky one. It's like that clay sand that kids kind of play with. I don't even know what it's called. Like it almost feels like you can kind of like form it together a little bit, which is interesting. Oh wow, this is another one that's like really thick. Again, I like thick developers. So that makes me feel like we're gonna get a lot of conditioning properties out of this. I really like the name of this. I didn't even comment on that. Like Bleach and Shine, how freaking cute is that? And then like the pink bottles, like I love pink. So let's go ahead and mix this up. So out of all of the lighteners so far, this one feels like the richest, the thickest. I'm kind of liking it. Also, as I'm mixing this though, the fragrance is kind of taking a downfall for me. It has a very interesting fragrance. Not liking the smell. It's really weird. There's like something like weird about it as you mix it together. Like the powder itself smells good, but then once you put the developer in, I know likey. This feels like really creamy. Like I'm kind of liking how this is feeling in the bowl. I'm excited to go ahead and get this on the swatch. So let's do this brush test. I love how this feels because it's super thick, so I know I'm gonna get really great precision. It also feels really creamy, which is interesting. So let's see how this feels as I put this on. This blue pigment is very, very blue. So I'm curious to know if this is going to be a negative when we are trying to see how well it's lifting. Yeah, this definitely feels thick. I can see how this would be great for an on scalp, to be completely honest, like with really thin sections. And now we wait. So now that this is done processing, I do feel slight little swelling, nothing crazy though. So let's take a little peek, and I don't know, this one's gonna be a tough one because just looking at it, this blue pigment can really play a trick on you. It looks like it lifted pretty good, but even with the wipe test, it's really hard to see. So we're gonna just have to wash this one out and see what it truly looks like. So this lightener was the underdog of the entire collection because nobody actually brought it up for me to test, but I did notice it in Cosmoprof that it was a 9+ level claim. So I thought, why not go ahead and try it? So after seeing this side by side, I think we got a good lift, but not the wow factor I'm looking for. Again, looking for 9 levels of lift. Now I did mix this up at the 1 to 2.5. And so I wonder if I was to mix it up with the lower developer ratio, we would probably in fact get a little bit more lift out of this, expecting a little bit more out of it. So let's go ahead and see where this falls on the level finder. So immediately off the bat, I'm seeing a lot of those orange tones, but it's not quite a 7 and it's not quite an 8. So I'm gonna go, gosh, this is a tough one because it's not really like a 7.5 for me. It's like, it just needs that little bit of extra oomph to get to that 8. So I'm gonna go with like a 7.75 with this one. I would really love to get a solid level 8 with my lift so that way I can neutralize or enhance or do whatever I need to do, because that orange pigment can really hinder the end result that you're trying to achieve. But when it comes to the integrity of the hair, I will say this feels really, really silky. So I definitely, for that reason, so far, this feels probably the smoothest out of all of them, which is pretty surprising because again, I just wasn't expecting too much out of this one. Would I add this to my arsenal? Probably not, but since I did purchase it, I kind of want to play around with it and see if I can make it work for me. If you like this video and want to watch another one, click here. And if you want to watch the full video, click here. And for more education, head on over to morellamanelli.com or hairbnbuniversity.com.